Hi everyone, welcome back to another Cut Above with Chris. I'm going for a head shave today. I'm not going to do a face shave, I don't think. I might do one later on, but I don't think I'm going to have time. I've just spent all morning, and it's into the afternoon now, on Facebook, sorting out a couple of videos and some posts and things, and emailing companies and all sorts, so fingers crossed we get something. Right, soap I'm going with is the exact same soap I used yesterday, which is Regiment Reveille, which I found out yesterday is the noise that's made to wake up people on army bases, I believe. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful soap. I was really impressed by the scent yesterday. I thought it was sandalwood that's in here, but there's actually no sandalwood in here at all. So that's probably why I quite enjoy it. It does have a sweetness, and it's just a really nice, woody, sweet sort of scent. If you check out the scent profile on Regiment soap on their site, it'll give you a better idea of what's actually in there. But in terms of scent, I just get a nice wood and a nice sweetness, and that's about it really. There's a bit of a fruity tinge to it, but it's just really nice. I really enjoy it. It's not a strong scent, but it's nice. I was going to put this in my sort of sale as an extra, but I don't think I am. I think I'm going to keep it because it's such an excellent performer. The brush, Ever Shave, that's right, Ever Shave. Clear acrylic handle with the, I think this is called a full moon, not from memory. I think it's called the full moon, and it's a great little brush. I think they're 15 bucks. I think that might include delivery over in the States. I'm not sure how much it is. Milton has been in contact with me. He will ship internationally. Just send him a message. He seems a really top bloke, and he will ship these internationally. He's got quite a few brushes on his page at the moment, some really nice brushes, got some lovely handles. I think some of these, I think possibly these ones are maybe bought in, and he puts the knot in, and then he's got his own ones that he turns himself and creates all his own casts and everything. So just beautiful little brushes for the price. You cannot go wrong. They're in that sort of ballpark figure for Razor Rock and Sterling, all of those ones, and they're excellent performers. There's no scritch or scratch with this, it's just lots of scrub, which is exactly what I want for a head shave. So let's dip it in the water, flick out some of the excess, and then straight into the tub. Now, I set this aside yesterday to dry, and it's just literally dried. I just put it back in my drawer and then thought, stuff it, I'm going to have a shave, pulled it back out the drawer, and I'm getting it wet again. So it's still very important to sort of look after your soaps. If you lather from the tub like this, then you really need to give them a good air out. I normally leave it for about 24 hours just in the cupboard, upside down on an angle. I actually use the lid, so I sit the lid flat on the table, and then I sit that like that, and just on this side I just put a bit of tissue paper, and it just catches all the drips or any excess fluids that are coming out the side of it, and it allows it to air better, I believe, or dry better, rather than leaving it soap side up or leaving it completely concealed on top of a table or something, which will actually stop it from stop moisture from evaporating. Right, now I've probably overloaded this again. It's quite a firm soap, because I noticed even there you can still see all the bumps and everything on it. It didn't budge much yesterday whenever I used it, in terms of actually digging into the soap. So Ponificio Baracino shaving grail bowl. I'm just going to pop a good bit of water in there, quite a fair bit, because this was very thirsty soap yesterday, and then straight into the bowl with a brush. Let's see what sort of lather we can whip up in the bowl. I do normally use a bowl for head shaves. Very, very rarely will I actually lather on my head. I just find you get a much better consistency of lather if you do it in a bowl. And I enjoy doing a bowl lather. I prefer doing a face lather when I'm face lathering, but when I'm doing a face shave. But for a head shave, it just gives me that opportunity to get the bowl back out and whip up an amazing lather. Now, if you want to find out how to whip up an amazing lather, I do a pretty good job with a bowl, I must say. But if you really want to see a master at work, head on over to Don Youngner of Wet the Face. That man can whip up a bowl lather like you wouldn't believe. And he uses a lot of sort of obscure soaps to do so. You find a lot of good content on his channel. He's a bit like me, he's a straight shooter. If something's shit, it's shit. You know, you say it as it is. this is lathering up beautifully, it really is. I'll just show you what I've got so far. It's not done yet, probably another minute or so. I think that's the only sort of, it's not a downside, but one thing to take into consideration when you bowl lather is I find you spend a little bit more time creating the lather in the bowl, because you can actually dial it in and get it spot on. But then you also spend a bit of time lathering it on your face or your head as well, so you're sort of doubling up really. But I think once you actually get it onto your skin, you start off with a better product than you do obviously just putting direct product onto your skin and trying to lather it up that way. The bowls nowadays, especially this one which has got banana leafing and dimples in the bottom, allow you to whip up an amazingly thick creamy lather, which sometimes is quite difficult to do on your face or on your head, I find. I'm just going to show you this. I'm pretty much where I want to be. It needs a little bit more water, but that gives you an idea of what this soap is like. I'm just going to dip it a couple more times, get a bit more water in it. So that was probably like a 20-second load from the tub. And I've seriously got some shitloads of lather in, and it's thick lather. The gloss on it's incredible. The scent's lovely. Scent strength still, it's only around about 4 once it's actually lathered up. I would imagine if you use hot water, I always generally use cold water, but if you used hot water, you'd boost the scent just that little bit more. Right, I am pretty much where I want to be. Look at that. Now it looks just ever so slightly airy because I've added so much water to it. But once I put it on my head, I'm going to be mashing it about a bit again, which will then further take some of the bubbles out. I've got 2 days growth, and let's see how we can tackle that. I've been watching, not over the past few days, but I've noticed that I think my personal preference on watching people on their shaving channels is a straight on view of the face, because you can watch the full shave pretty much then. So I'm contemplating going back to that myself, but not right away. These are great little brushes, these, they really are, great scrub. And I think personally, I think they look pretty good for the especially for the price. You can't get much nowadays for $15, you really can't. You're lucky if you can buy a couple of chocolate bars. Not that I eat chocolate anymore, but that's the way the world's going. Doesn't matter what you get. So for someone's time and effort to do things and postage and all that, it's pretty impressive. The Mergress, this has not been on my channel for ages now, it just seems like an eternity. Got it on setting 3 at the moment. In fact, you know what, I'm going to crank it up to setting 5. Shaved Vice has sent a message asking if I've ever used a feather blade for a head shave, which you guys that have followed me from the beginning will know I have. It was my go-to blade in my R41. I've got a brand new feather blade in this today. I don't think I've used a feather blade in this on a head shave, but who knows, my memory's terrible. Setting 5, feather blade, Mergress, here we go, with the grain. Now, the feather blade, for me, is very smooth. It's also an extremely sharp blade. And by sharp, what I mean is, I don't want to confuse anyone. All razor blades, all double-edged blades, all single-edged blades are sharp when they come out of the packet, no doubt about it. Doesn't matter what one you get. It can only boil down to the edge that's put on that blade by the company at the time, how sharp it is and how it cuts. So however feather cut their edges, it makes the blade extremely sharp, or extremely efficient blade. But they're very smooth for me. A lot of people find them rough. The only major downside for me is I only get one head shave out of a blade. They just blunt far too quickly, and that for me is just not that great. Considering the Kai blade that's in my Wunderbar, I think is going on its 5th or 6th shave now, and it doesn't seem to be getting any blunter. It's still very, very sharp, very efficient. The Mergress has got a lovely, lovely balance on it because of the stainless knob. It sort of really evens it out. Now, when I'm generally shaving my head with this, I just hold it with 2 fingers, and it's, you can see that's the sort of tightness that I hold it. If I wobble my hand about, you can see it moving. I'm not actually firmly holding the razor. Some people might not agree with that, but when I'm on the top here, it's just 2 fingers and just resting it on my head, pulling it forward. Now, I watch a lot of people also that pull from back to front, one full stroke. I don't find that very efficient on a head shave. On a face shave it's not too bad, but when I'm doing my head shaves, I find if I pull it in one stroke, I lose. I don't know why, but it just doesn't cut. It cuts at the beginning pretty good, and then it gets worse and worse as I get further down my head, and end up it's not really cutting at all by the time it gets to the end. I don't know why, but that's just how it sort of goes. So that's why I do short pulls on my head shaves. I'm pretty much overlapping each area just by a small amount to catch all the air off. There is a small overhang on the Mergress as well, or the Progress head. It's very small. You still got to be careful at the back of your ears because you don't want to be chopping them off or slicing them open. I finally managed to watch at least one video, which was surprising. It was actually Spain's shaves. It was his 2nd video, it wasn't his 1st one. It was 40 minutes long, 39 minutes I think, or 37. I watched it all and I got to the end and I thought, shit, that was 37 minutes. I didn't even realise, because it was actually a very good video, and he sort of keeps you entertained all the way through it, which is good. And he's only new to wet shaving on YouTube, and you would think he'd been doing it for a long, long time. Right, there's a lot of hair in the bowl here, so I'm just going to empty it out. And then just give it a bit of a rinse and fill it back up a bit. Now, I was going to keep it on setting 5 for the whole shave, but I'm just going to knock it down to setting 3 because I'm going to be going over parts over and over again a bit, so I just want to make sure I'm not irritating my skin too much. Look at that. Look at the shine and gloss on that. There's hardly an air bubble in it, it's just incredible. Really, really top quality lather. If you can get your hands on some Regiment, then you'll do well with it. It's really worth it. Like I say, if you want to watch a few more videos on it, I've only got this one sent. It was kindly sent to me from Reveille Chapel over in the States, over in New York. Alex, so thanks again, mate. I know I'll say thank you every time I use one of these soaps anyway, I can't help it. Just overwhelmed with the awesome people in the shaving world. Just brilliant. I've actually got some great information from Alex as well, and he was also the one that he didn't push me into gem razors, but he gave me the want to use one and try it, because I've never had the want, because I don't think they're particularly nice looking razors, and if I'm brutally honest, I still don't think they're great looking razors, but Jesus, they're good shavers, and at the end of the day, that's essentially what really matters. Right, Mergress Setting 3, brand new feather blade against the grain. And that feels great. I'm just going to dip my fingers and just see if there's any residual slickness. And it's a little bit, it's not as good as I don't know what it is with my head, but I think it's because the skin's so tight that the blade's really getting on the skin and just scraping everything off, so it's maybe not the best reflection of how slick a soap is by using it on a head shave. But there still is some slickness, which is good. And this is one of the few non-3-piece razors that I feel I can pull across my head without it skipping, or skipping too much. What I mean by skipping is it'll sound like a machine gun. That's what it'll sound like as you're pulling it across your hair or your head, as it's trying to remove the hair. I do get it a little bit with the Mergress. I don't get it at all with the Wunderbar. Can you hear it? Just as I say, can you hear it? It stops doing it. I find a little bit of slickness. But slickness is what sort of stops that from happening. It does help as well. So the slicker the soap, the less you'll actually judder or get any chatter. But it's doing a fantastic job. paint a little bit of lather back on it because I've been so long. It's actually dried in a little bit. Right, there's not much left on here. About 20 minutes, so a little bit behind schedule. But the slickness is actually pretty good. All I'm just going to whip all this lather out, that's what's left. Look at that. I'm just going to paint it all over, stuff it, get the goodness from the soap. My final pass, I normally do everything anyway, and then just do the odd little touch-ups here and there. But from that small load, you can see how thick and creamy this lather is. Whip it up in a bowl, a little bit of water. Well, it's actually quite a bit of water. It loves a drink, this soap, which is no bad thing. And it deals with it very, very well. You know, this is a very, very difficult lather to break. Right, just all over now. This is more of just a clean up. It's probably more about speed than any real accuracy, because the biggest majority of hair is gone now. Every stroke from this point on should be pretty much noiseless. There shouldn't be any hairs anywhere, really. Just the odd little bit, like there. And then there's always some floating about this area because I can't. End of the day, even when you're going for BBS, technically you never actually get everything, but to your own feeling, it's all gone. The feather blades for me are excellent. They're not for everyone. If you're on Facebook, you'll see a lot of people find them very harsh or almost rough. I've never had that from a single feather blade, any feather blade I've ever used. Has always been sharp and smooth. Just get a little bit of lather there because this is... And if you watch my shaves with the Wunderbar, never ever spend that amount of time touching up with it. It just does a far better job. Which is why it's my #1 go-to head shave razor. But sometimes you just got to mix it up a bit. But that's BBS and as good as you'll ever get. Very smooth, very comfortable, no irritation that I can feel. There's lavender. Weather has once again been shit today. Yeah, there's no burn or anything from the Thayers, but Thayers doesn't really burn that much, if I'm honest. If you want a bit of burn from your witch hazel, buy Humphreys. Or Thayers Medicated, it's got a little bit of burn in it, but still nothing like Humphreys. Right, shaving soap, Regiment Reveille, which is a woody, sweet, sort of citrusy, floral. It's just a nice scent. It's not one for everyone, I don't think, but it's probably more neutral to everyone. I think most people would sort of like it because it does appeal to the sort of wood, citrus, sweet. It's got a little bit of everything. It's a very mild scent, about a 4 once you lather it up. With a bit of hot water it might come out a bit more, it might bloom it a bit. But other than that, it lathers great. You've seen the lather. It's slick, it's comfortable, it's protective. Post-shave moisturising is excellent from it. I'll find out more when the summer comes what the post-shave's like, so I'm going to start using less post-shave stuff in the summer because it's not needed quite as much. I do use quite a bit of sunscreen in the summer as well, so we'll just see how we go. The brush, the Ever Shave. You've seen how much lather I put on my head and it's still chockers full. But this little brush is outstanding for the price. Price point is, it's probably in most people's price range. Most people can afford it. At the moment I struggle. I would struggle to afford it, but I think most people, if you're looking for a high quality good solid brush that looks great, feels great, and is going to last a long time. You can't really look past these Ever Shave brushes. He also does a tuxedo knot, or a tuxedo style knot. It's called a quarter moon. I don't think he does any other tuxedo like knots. But that one's very similar to my Wolf Whiskers Ultra fan, which is the really shaped fan. But there it is, beautiful little brush. Smells great now, smells really good now. And that was actually part of a giveaway that I won from Gil over at A Second Kinda Cool, so thanks a lot, Gil. This is going to get a lot of use, I think. Great little brush. And the razor, the Mergress Twist It Open. It's a 2-piece razor. It's actually a 3-piece because this comes off, but you leave it in unless you want to do some maintenance. And it's got a feather blade in there, which was at first use and its last use, because these blades don't last at all. They give me one shave, one good shave, and then the next one's tuggy as all hell, so I don't use them again, it goes straight in the bin. So it's quite an expensive process. They're cheaper than Kai blades, but they don't have the longevity. I mean, I'm on 5 or 6 shaves on that Kai blade, which is just phenomenal, and it still feels as good as that feather just felt there. Humphreys, Thayer's, lavender. Humphreys on the brain when it comes to witch hazel at the moment, which is a lovely light scented, lovely lavender scent. It doesn't burn, there's no sting or anything from it all. And I'm going to finish off now with Lucky Tiger aftershave and face tonic. Well, it's a head tonic because I'm going to be putting it on my head. Good squirt of that. And Bob's your uncle. Oh, your aunt. There's always one, you know. Anyway guys, thank you very much for tuning in again. I hope you enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. It was a good shave today. I'm really enjoying that soap as well. The Regiment soap is excellent stuff. So if you're looking for a reasonably well priced soap, I still find it just a little bit expensive. I didn't buy this, but Reveille has left the price on the bottom. So $14 for a 3.5 ounce tin. It's a very small tin. I'm not a major fan of these little tins. I like the bigger tins like Cold River Soapworks used to have, the big huge tin. That way you can load your brush a lot easier, and it just seems, they still look the same, they still got that rustic look about them, but just easy to use, the bigger tins. But that's the way they do it. It does look sort of militarised, military style, and I'm assuming that's why Regiment went down that road, so I'm not going to hold them to that or say anything bad really against it. That's their style. And the labels are all waterproof, and yeah, just it's excellent stuff. Ken Source loves it. I think it's brilliant. I think you should give it a shot if you can afford to, and you're in the States, it's a lot easier, you can get it ordered. But if you see it comes up and buy, sell, trade for cheap, just grab it, give it a go. If you don't like it, I'm pretty sure it'll sell or trade on pretty easily. Anyway, I've done enough shit talking for today. You guys stay safe, drive safe, don't drink and drive. I'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.